When you were younger, did you ever get caught with your hand in the cookie jar? The temptation to have something that does not belong to you is something we all face. But if we knew the consequences beforehand, we might not give in to that temptation. Join me today as we take a quick look at the Proverbs and look at Solomon's warning to guard our ears, our eyes, and our hearts from sexual temptations. Read with me Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23 through 29. For this command is a lamp, this teaching is a light, and correction and instruction are the way to life, keeping you from your neighbor's wife, from the smooth talk of a wayward woman. Do not lust in your heart after her beauty, or let her captivate you with her eyes. For a prostitute can be had for a loaf of bread, but another man's wife preys on your very life. Can a man scoop fire into his lap without his clothes being burned? Can a man walk on hot coals without his feet being scorched? So is he who sleeps with another man's wife. No one who touches her will go unpunished. Solomon warns his children in chapter 5, verse 1 through 14 about the dangers of sexual immorality. But now his warning becomes more specific, as he warns about the dangers of sexual involvement with another person's wife or husband. The first warning is to guard your ears. Words are powerful tools that can move and sway us to do things that we might not otherwise do. Sweet words spoken from the lips of an attractive person can be very enticing. I've witnessed it many times, and it can often happen when you are at your weakest moment. Proverbs 5:3 says, "For the lips of the adulterous woman drip like honey, and her speech is smoother than oil." Beware of smooth talkers and the trouble that they will get you into. Adam and Eve fell for the smooth words of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 says, "Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, 'Did God really say, you must not eat from any tree in the garden?'" He was crafty. Just like Adam and Eve, when we get our ears tickled and our flesh tempted by convincing words, it can be hard to resist. When we hear flattering words, it fans the flames of our fleshly desires. But we must learn to reject the enticements that we hear with our ears. The next warning is to guard your eyes. Shakespeare said the eyes are the windows to the soul. And it's also been said that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Solomon warns us to guard our hearts from lust and guard our eyes from visual captivity. There is nothing wrong with seeing and acknowledging a beautiful person. But to gaze at them and long for them in a sexual manner is dangerous and wrong. Jesus said in Matthew 5:28, "But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." The words that Jesus and Solomon use for lust mean the same thing, to covet. To desire sex with somebody else's spouse can cause you to lose more than you realize. In verse 26, Solomon says it's bad enough to be involved with a prostitute, but to be involved with another person's spouse could cost you everything. The stakes are higher, and when the truth comes out, the loss will be greater than you can bear. The last warning that we will look at today is to guard your heart. In verse 27-28, Solomon uses an analogy of pouring hot burning coals into your lap to emphasize what happens when you sleep with another person's spouse. No one in their right mind would ever do such a ridiculous thing, such as pouring hot burning coals into their lap, or attempting to walk across hot burning coals with their bare feet. Committing adultery with a married person is like playing with fire. You are going to get burned one way or another. Getting burned by fire causes agonizing pain, and it leaves scars and disfigurement. Adultery can do the same thing to a person's life. Emotional issues rise. Families are hurt and broken. Children's lives are devastated. Relationships are ended, and reputations are ruined. Even adultery of the heart, without the actual physical act, can bring the same harm into your life. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." In Matthew 12:35, "A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in him." So guard your ears and your eyes and your heart from the trap of adultery. And if you are tempted, follow the example of David in Psalm 139:23. "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting."